Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Shadowrunnin on Empty. We have once again a full house as these wonderful people are with me here to talk about all things fun in the sixth world, and that does include our dear friend Tyler. Tyler, how you doing this evening?
Pretty good, pretty good. I ain't wise. I ain't no fool. So I'm here to talk about some ghouls. Eh? Eh? Easy? Hello?
6 out of 10.
Hello? You know what? Okay, we're gonna get there, gang.
One of these days, we're going to get there.
Speaking of getting somewhere, where are we going?
Giving away the topic already, man.
Mysterious
We're
forces.
it's mysterious forces. We're taking another good old trip, and this time we're heading on over to the African continent, and we're going to talk about a little known nation called Asamando, better known as the Nation of the Ghouls.
I don't know why you have to say it all menacing like that. Like ghouls are just people too, so
Well, I'm sure we're definitely going to be talking about that as we progress, because there's some things going on in that particular cool nation that may make you question, are they actually people too?
Oh,
yes. Yes, they are.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Well, let's start at the beginning. The nation of Asamando was founded back in 2030 when the very charismatic Thema Lula led a small group of HMHVV infected metahumans into the Black Volta region. They settle the new area and they decide to name their country Asamando.
does it mean anything?
I actually don't know if it has a meaning. Let me take a look really quick.
Take a look. It's in a book. Asamando. Okay. While we're looking this up, did I ever tell you guys about the Easter Island thing?
No, what is the Easter Island thing?
So one of my coworkers, I'm from the Pacific Islands, and he just genuinely forgot that I said I was from the Pacific Islands. So he genuinely said, "Yeah, you're from the Easter Islands, right?" And I was like, "Yep, sure am. I like to make sure to throw a virgin into the volcano every day on my way to work. And when I'm when I'm praying, I'm just like, whoa." That's the kind of jokes I have with my
Oh, so you're saying that you're the priest guy from the latest Dune movie.
I can aspire for greatness.
Wow.
I also really like Hailung.
Just doing a quick search does not look like there is a specific meaning behind
I
the
got you.
word.
So Asamando is referenced in the Akan religion as the land of spirits and dwelling place of the ancestors. The Akan is a religion that is prevalent in Africa.
Oh, well, that would make sense then.
Land of the Spirits.
Hmm.
Makes sense since they're HMHVV infected. So once Asamando is founded, Lalua becomes the queen. And
Lolua.
yes, Thema Lalua is the queen of Asamando, and she is the longest uninterrupted monarch to reign in Africa.
Don't say.
Who knew?
And at this point, are they ghouls?
Yeah, 2030.
Okay. Okay, so they just were like, "Hey, we're just gonna take Africa."
Though they took this little spot in Africa, yes.
Ah, I see.
They just settled it and they're like, this is ours. The long-standing and generous immigration policy has quickly swelled the country's population. They are estimated to be over 500,000.
Their numbers. They got the ranks.
Currently, Asamando is one of the most racially and ethnically diverse countries in Africa, especially since HMHVV affects metahumans of all types and in all nations. Unofficially, Asamando is considered the homeland for the infected.
Is it like a place that if you're infected and you're like persecuted, you could go here?
Yes, you could go to Asamando and you would not be persecuted. In the first few decades, armed conflicts were common on the borders with Asamando, under assault by both the neighboring nations, independent raiders, and pirates.
Yar.
To combat this, the Queen responds by instituting a mandatory military service term for all residents. And that is a requirement that continues into the future.
To prevent more bad stuff, I assume.
Well, you have a standing army. Much
That helps.
like what Israel currently does. Yeah, every adult is required to join the military for a period of years, and they are trained to use non-lethal methods where possible, which is interesting considering they're ghouls.
What percentage of the population isn't ghouls, or is it just like majoritively ghouls?
It's majoritively ghouls, but they are open to, again, free spirits and shapeshifters.
Okay.
And there is a decent population of shapeshifters. I think it's around maybe 5%.
Mm-hmm.
But it is predominantly the various types of the HMHVV infected.
Gotcha.
There is currently a demilitarized zone that exists between Asamando and its nearest neighbors, although there are no formal treaties or even peace efforts in place. Due to the tensions between Asamando and its neighbors, overland travel to the nation is limited and generally not recommended.
How bad could it be?
Well, you could get captured by ghouls.
Pretty bad. Gotcha.
So,
pretty bad.
The current political situation in Asamanda is considered stable. All political positions are granted by the Queen. Currently, Asamando is not recognized by the United Nations, but is recognized by the corporate court.
Why is that?
That is because there are corporations that have entered into agreements with Asamando, one of them being Seder Krupp. And it's because of some of the natural resources that are abundant in Asamando, and so they grant mining rights. Now, of course, Asamando mines it themselves with their labor forces, and then ship it out to different refineries, some run by mega corporations. So that's why they're recognized by the corporate court. But not the UN.
Curses, UN.
And there is a reason for that.
Oh.
And we will get to it.
Oh.
Right now, there is one major city in Asamando. When they first founded their country, there was not a lot of infrastructure. Larger towns were mostly uninhabited, and they had to build their country basically from the ground up. They begin construction on their major city. I'm going to butcher this name. Namkopan. Nyamkopan. Yeah, Nyamkopan. In 2039. The city becomes the nation's official capital in 2046. It is the primary urban center of the country, the rest of the country being very rural with smaller villages and military outposts near the borders. The capital city houses a large portion, basically over half of the registered population of 250,000 citizens, and has a distinctly awakened feel to it. The city is smaller compared to many other urban sprawls, containing a 20-block downtown core surrounded by planned housing communities with numerous parks and dedicated green spaces throughout. At the heart of the city is the Sun Palace, the Queen's home, and the seat of government. The 6-story palace sits on a small hill. By law, it is the highest structure in the city.
What's the best view?
Right? Technically the tallest building. Nominally, Asamando owns all buildings and land within the city, leasing out properties to corporations and businesses. The city flows out in concentric circles from the Sun Palace, with tree-lined and shaded boulevards. Notably, most streets are heavily shaded against the bright West African sun, and many of the larger corporate facilities have underground entrances that link to the public subway system. All of Asamando has full wireless matrix coverage, built by Saderkrupp and maintained by Horizon. Wireless service is provided by the government and is free to all citizens and visitors. Free internet, guys. Free internet.
We did it.
I'll go live with some ghouls for free internet.
For residents who are unable to utilize the wireless system, such as the population of free spirits, multi-layer signage exits incorporating verbal cues with physical signs exist.
So you can just sign at something?
Yeah, well, remember, with the wireless matrix comes the augmented reality, and free spirits can't necessarily see that because they have no way to have cyberware implanted in them.
Right. Did we ever talk about like spirits and possession?
We briefly touched on it when we talked about magic.
I just don't know if I brought this up. Like the idea, what if there's like, do spirits pay people to possess them so they could do stuff like experience VR? Is that a thing?
I haven't heard tale of it actually being a thing. Most possessions are against people's wills.
Ah,
yeah, you don't just kind of share your body.
I was just curious if they have like industries where they do Airbnb, but it's your body.
I mean, it's something to look into. I'll have to search around and see if there's any mention of renting your body out to free spirits.
The more I say it's not for anything weird, guys.
Sure.
I'm just curious.
And I just want to have out-of-body experiences.
Maybe, or in-body experiences, sir. What if I want to like possess somebody and then eat a pizza? So I know what that's like.
I suppose you could do that if you wanted to experience what eating food is like.
And I do.
Don't like ghouls get like horribly violent if they eat normal food though?
They can't digest it.
They can't digest it. Okay, that's what. Because I remember we had a conversation kind of about that with Karma when we were on the boat.
Yes, they will throw it up because they can't digest it.
Mm-hmm. Got to be that sweet meat.
Gotta be that sweet meta-human meat.
Meat a human.
Yum.
We do not condone cannibalism with this podcast.
Oh. Can we start a side hustle in Sinless where we become like a chop shop to provide bodies for ghouls and call it Meta-Humans?
I mean, there are chop shops and street docks,
but guys
around that do that kind of thing. So If
Be
you
our
want to
own
set it
Sweeney
up yourself,
Todd.
Me to humans.
Guys, hear me out.
Hear me out. We
hear
could
me
do
out,
like
guys.
our logo could be like the boar's head logo, but it's like a troll head instead. Ah?
Wow.
Ah?
Ooh. I can't believe I'm actively considering this.
All right. That's all I wanted to
Wow.
hear.
Hmm.
So,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
anyway,
If
back to
if
Asamando.
listen, if we're already running the side hustle of Bear going out to get implants to sell on the black market, like what are we gonna do with the rest of the body, is all I'm trying to say.
Wow.
we
Feed your ghouls.
we believe in recycling all materials.
Well, right now you'd have to feed one specific ghoul that happens to be in your enclave.
Yeah, Asgard's gone green.
Hell yeah. We got solar panels.
Everything is recyclable,
Meat grinders.
even the bad guys.
We have like annual, or we have like weekly meat pie nights.
Don't ask where we got the meat for the
It's
meat
always
pies.
the Wednesday. Yeah, it's always like the Wednesday after a big run where there was a high body count. So weird and unrelated.
Why are Otto's pies always so red?
Because we put strawberry jam in them.
Oh.
Ooh.
Eh. Anyway,
Don't hate.
Asamando does have a primary airport, and that is the Nayam Kopan International Airport, located approximately 10 kilometers outside of city limits, and has the capacity to receive both suborbitals and supercarriers. And they need to be able to bring in the supercarriers because Asamando is a landlocked nation, and the primary method of importing goods is by air. Public transportation consists of subway systems, which link the suburbs to the downtown core, all of which is underground.
So if do they do like airdrops, or do they have like an actual like airfield where they land and unload supplies and stuff?
It's a full-on serviceable international airport where they will land.
Oh, that's cool.
Everything.
Oh, okay. I was kind of hoping that they just drop boxes into the
That's
jungle,
what I was
and they're
thinking.
like, "There you go, guys, go find them."
They drop them in the wild.
No, they don't just fly over and drop the parachutes. They actually have a fully functioning international airport.
I guess that's convenient too. Whatever.
I guess that functions.
The capital is also home to the Thema Lula Medical Center, a world-class medical and research facility that specializes in treating awakened patients.
Ooh, like imagining getting a doctorate, and then you need a doctorate. You need a separate like degree to. I mean, you were saying you have to be a certain kind of doctor to operate on metas.
I was saying you need a certain kind of license depending on what you're practicing. Like if you're just doing regular medical practice or in surgery, I mean, that's all the same that we go through now. The only difference would be is if you do healing spells, that's a different like doctorate degree focus that you would need to go through for people that are capable of casting healing and regenerative magic. Asamando only has one university, and it is located in their capital city, although they do offer wireless access throughout the country so that you can attend virtual classes.
That's cool.
The University of Asamando has a partnership with several universities and corporate research programs, allowing students to attend virtual classes across the globe. This is also a cool little side note. In the capital, there is a place called the Rani Lalul Center for Cultural Arts, which houses historical artifacts, national treasures, and has a multi-story interactive museum dedicated to mythology and the awakening.
Ooh, that sounds so dope.
Right? Immersive mythology exhibits. Of course.
Of all the nightmarish things in Shadowrun, Something about just like an AR kind of museum trip sounds so chill.
Right? It does. It sounds super relaxing, especially in a nation full of ghouls. Or I'm
Yeah.
sorry, HMHVV infected. Not every one of them is a ghoul. Remember, we went through all of the different strains of the infected. So not only are there ghouls, but there's vampires and banshees and all the other ones. Of course, Asamando's nightlife is particularly vibrant, and the numerous outdoor parks come to life after dark, along with many clubs and restaurants.
I'm trying to think of like what would be the big difference in a nightlife for a ghoul as opposed to just like a human.
Well, you get to go outside and not have to worry about the sun.
I mean that's fair, but I'm just like, is there a ghoul party drug, or is there like a you can only party like this if you're a ghoul kind of thing?
I would imagine that there would be like spiked blood
Whoa!
or spiked meta meat.
Oh my god!
It's like, oh man, I really want to get messed up tonight, so I'm gonna drink this blood that's been spiked with LSD.
Whoa!
I rubbed my bicep in angel dust.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go
exactly.
talk to God. I mean, I
Located.
guess I guess it would all be dependent on like how does the biology of a ghoul work?
Right.
Like
Yeah,
That's made me wonder.
is ghoul brain functionality similar to enough to a
I
live person's
I
to
would assume that
have the
it's
same.
I would assume that it's similar enough to have the same reactions. So, you got ghouls that are there drinking their drink or eating their food and then just doing lines of coke off the bar. I don't know.
They don't see another further layer into infinity.
Well, remember, most ghouls are blind and
Hmm.
they see in the astral. So,
Only when
I
you're blind can you truly see.
well, I would imagine that more like magically psychedelic drugs would affect them harder. Like, oh man, I gotta smoke this deep weed.
Deep weed. Magically psychedelic just sounds like a cool name for anything.
Yeah, magical
So,
compounds, man.
that sounds like a slogan for a cereal. They're magically psychedelic.
Hey kids, did you want to see rainbows?
You want to be at the end of the rainbow?
Why taste the rainbow when you can be the rainbow?
That's right. Pull the pot of gold right out of yourselves.
Oh no.
Oh,
We're
yikes.
sorry to all the leprechauns.
All the leprechauns, we
They're not
apologize.
listening to this podcast. They're too busy running from unicorns.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
What
I
a
feel like
throwback.
we have a
What a
lot of
throwback.
really diverse views here, and I feel like they're pretty short sighted.
With the leprechaun views were short sighted? Is that what you're saying?
Shh.
I see what he
Is,
was doing there,
is that a
but
short joke?
wow, dude, wow.
I'm rocking a solid six
Hey,
out of 10
you
tonight.
know what? You know what, Tyler? Way to take the low-hanging fruit, all right?
Hell yeah. I'll take it. Someone's gotta have it.
Yeah, especially since their arms don't reach that high up off the ground.
That's rude.
Oh,
How dare you?
I dared.
I blame it.
Easy,
I
was
learned
that
from Easy.
easy? Was that a short joke?
That was definitely a short joke. Yes,
Nice. 8 out of
thank you.
10.
8 out of
What? Ah. Oh man.
we're keeping score. Located in the heart of Asamando's mining country, the Abo Denbo is a small industrial town with a permanent population of approximately 25,000. The city is the industrial center for Asamando, and situated on a flat plain, the city consists of large manufacturing facilities, refineries, and tract housing. Strict environmental policies, coupled with a high amount of applied magics, keeps pollution down and air quality high. How about that?
It's not a bad perspective to have.
Right? Using applied magics. Abodenbo is also home to the Asamando Gem Cutters Guild, which happens to produce some of the finest diamonds and gems sold worldwide. So there you go. The Ghouls own De Beers.
Well, I mean, the good thing is that if they're coming from ghouls, that they're not blood diamonds. Oh,
9 out of 10. 9 out of 10.
Look at this guy. Tyler, we like to give you something to aspire to.
Oh yeah, reach for the stars.
Again with the short jokes. This guy, Jesus.
What?
Look,
oh man,
he didn't go to Jared's. He went to Ghouls.
That would be amazing. I would love to see a commercial for like a diamond commercial,
like a sales commercial.
Yeah.
And it's just like,
but it's
ghouls in the
ghouls.
background.
It's all ghouls wearing like really ornate jewelry and clothing, like
vampires showing off their diamond rings
in a mirror, and it's just the ring.
It's just the ring.
You know what? That was a 6.5, Tyler. That was a 6.5.
He's moving up.
Moving on up.
That was a pretty good one.
Not because I'm short.
One of the special locations that is located within this country is called Bemboy. It is a small village on the Black Volta, which is a river. And it is a community of shapeshifters centered on a half dozen mineral springs that feed into the Black Volta. These springs are said to have appeared in 2012, which, if you're keeping track at home, is the beginning of the awakening, and are considered by the locals to have healing and therapeutic properties. In 2038, the Asamando military forces took control of the area, and shortly afterward, the Queen established the Bemboy Mineral Springs as a National Heritage Site and stationed a permanent garrison outside the village. There's also a small resort that is operated around the largest spring. But there are others that are accessible only by permit. Are you ready for this? From the Ministry of Magic.
Oh, my
That's
God.
right. Asamando has a Ministry of Magic.
He's back.
We don't say his name.
Okay.
This is where you have a ghoul come running out, just going.
Okay, unrelated, but related. We have a new coworker named Cedric, and someone was like, if he comes in and we don't go, my boy, that's my son.
Oh my gosh!
And then scream dramatically, then waste opportunity.
Did you do that?
He's remote currently at the time of this.
Oh, so as soon as he comes in,
we'll see.
Okay. Jeez. So now that we've talked a little bit about the country itself, maybe you'd like to hear about the societies that have cropped up from this ghoul nation. There are a few. You have the 162s. The 160
area code?
No, the 162s are an all ghoul gang. They happen to find out how to make money by selling pieces of their victims to a organization called Tamanoas. And they have now come into better hardware as the gang has been used by unknown sponsors as a dumping ground for hot weapons and bodies. You got some bodies that need to be disappeared, give them to the 162s.
Where's the name come from?
The 162s?
Yeah.
Let me see if I can find that out. Give me just a moment.
According to Wikipedia, 162 is the telephone numbers in Azerbaijan.
That's not what it's connected to. So the 162s have been a Seattle-based gang. The gang was named after a ghoul protection legislation called Special Order 162. That legislation was quickly rescinded.
Okay. I was like, wow, that sounds like a really wholesome backstory. Nope.
Okay. You'll be happy to know that the gang is a ghoul-only gang that happens to operate in the Redmond Barrens under the blood red and brown colors.
Hey, okay. Is there an electoral process to be leader of the gang? Because I think they have a prospective member.
If you're a ghoul, you can join. That's the rule.
That's it.
That's it. They do happen to prowl the barrens looking for victims. Healthy victims become, quote, volunteer donors, and the rest are dinner.
Wait. The arrests are dinner?
The rest are dinner. The healthy ones, they become volunteer donors.
What is that? Like blood?
Or organ? Yeah.
Yeah, you're not gonna miss a little leg meat.
Yeah, right?
You got 2 of them. Don't be greedy.
The 162s are now active in the city of Chicago, where they happen to be affiliated with the Ghoul Liberation League. Who are the Ghoul Liberation League? I'm glad you asked that. The GLL has become a polarizing force. The infected have lost a great deal of public support in North America, making the GLL the face of those who work toward integration.
Like they're a front-facing party?
Yes, they're a forward-facing party that are working for ghoul rights. Their ranks swell with ghouls and other infected who work tirelessly to improve their image. The GLL is scrambling to try to make contacts and connections with Corps, the media, and any other alliance they can get. They are more than willing to work with Shadowrunners, brokering jobs for corporations, and paying in favors.
Most valued of currency.
The best form of currency.
Yeah.
It's a pretty good currency. I mean, it could be nice to have a vampire or a ghoul that owes you a favor. Then we come to another group that is a little worse. They're called Fear the Dark.
That's their name?
That is their name, is Fear the Dark. It's the name the media has given a terrorist organization of infected. This group is primarily made up of vampires and banshees, but they don't restrict themselves to just vampires and banshees. Their trademark is high-profile attacks with high death counts, often utilizing their special abilities to subvert security and show off their victims' helplessness.
Oh my God.
They always take the time to sign their crimes with some sort of warning to fear the dark. In 2074, it seemed as though they had been disrupted as attacks had decreased for a short amount of time. Unfortunately, other groups or cells have arisen since, pursuing their patented technique to spread terror and chaos across the world.
So they don't have like a overarching objective. They just really
Nope.
They suck.
Ha 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 ha. Literally.
Okay.
Back to 6 out of 10.
I didn't mean it.
There's another group that is sort of like the GLL. It's called Infected Anonymous.
Hi, my name's Fred, and I'm infected. Hi, Fred.
Started as nothing more than a loose coalition of infected acting as a support group. While the organization remains intact in various circles, can communicate, each has taken on a life of its own. Some have become initiate circles, while others have become hunting packs. Not all are benevolent, but those circles that deviate too far from the ideals of integration and self-control that IA was based on are revealed to the authorities.
Interesting checks and balances system there.
It is interesting how the infected kind of check and balance themselves.
I mean, I feel like they kind of got to,
or else
now,
they
at
would
least.
they would forever just be viewed as these monsters of the dark.
Yeah.
So then we come to my favorite organization that exists in the ghoul world, and that is Tominos. Tominos isn't a universal thing. Much like any criminal syndicate, it services utility and its services, utility, and legality waxes and wanes between territories. In the UCOS, it is a boogeyman ever present in every black clinic and back alley, creating a quiet link between independent medicine, organ legging, and cannibal infected. But in Atslan, they are often able to secure plentiful resources without resorting to body snatching.
And this is a particular group,
Yes.
but they have like the same name, but like different. It's like a franchise.
Uh, some people view it as a criminal organization. Others view it as an experimental medical group.
New age medical group.
Yeah.
Alternative medicine, if you will.
Right. In Atslan, Asamando, and the handful of other nations that have legal citizenship for the infected, Temenos becomes a legitimate enterprise and competitor with other services that cater to the specialized needs of the infected.
And at this point, that sounds more front facing.
Yes. So where they have more legal rights, they are more forward facing. They don't have to operate in the shadows. Right? It's like society, treats them this way.
It's like if you have rights, you have power or something.
So Temenos works like a specialized body bank chain, paying for bodies, donations, and offering to purchase qualifying medical waste, all of which is then rendered into consumable forms for the infected.
So they take bodies and then turn the bodies into medicine
or food for the infected.
Or food.
Yes. In Asamando, Temenos operates in the open and proudly. For many in that nation, this organization not only kept them fed, but smuggled them to safety.
Good guy Tominos.
For the infected who are still ashamed of the harm their diet causes others, Tominos supplies the cast-off meat from black clinics and necroplex fronts.
What is the necroplex?
Kind of like a morgue.
Oh, okay. It's just a cooler name for it.
Yeah.
Yes, it's just a much cooler name for it.
All right, fair.
I just imagine it's like a morgue, but with like dance music.
Mm-hmm. So this is where you kind of have to question their methods a little bit. What I'm about to tell you. What no one pays attention to is their large R&D division. Tanimos is less dependent on its kidnapping business than most people would like to think, largely because of their body farms.
Ugh.
Big hidden facilities that grow metahuman gnolls by the hundreds. They have a stock of genetic material they utilize to create as many omega donors as possible for harvest and transplant.
Did you say nulls?
Yes. Metahuman gnolls, which basically means they clone these people and they never are woken
Oh,
up from comas.
but they just get harvested.
They clone them into comas and harvest them.
Well, at least we know clone technology works. Yeesh.
And now we head into one of their pet projects called Project Garden.
Garden of meat.
You're not far off. For decades, Tamanos used their unwilling donors to supply parts. But they don't just dice them up and freeze the pieces. They have to keep them as fresh as possible. Fresh meat for ghouls. Which means they have to cut them up as parts as needed. So they put these donors on life support.
Oh my god.
Keep them in a comatose state. Project Garden involves using regenerative procedures such as magic, surgery, or cheap gene tech to keep growing organs in the donor.
Ugh.
Patients, in quotation marks, are kept alive longer to supply more and more parts.
Oh, and it's still fresh because it's being replaced.
Yep. Through gene therapy or regenerative magic.
There's like a whole like quandary to be had about that. Like if it would ever be ethical to do this for renewable food.
For ghouls, is it? That's a good question.
Hmm.
Is
My
it
take,
ethical?
like the way I would think about it is like they'd have to have people who are donating. But even
Well,
then, there's only so much you
donating.
can do.
Well, how do you quantify that in donating? Because some
Whoa.
of these people are clones
Well, I'm saying
and
like they have to
they
give
have
consent
no
for it.
life. They're cloned and they're kept in a comatose state the entire time.
Okay, hear
They
me
never
out.
wake up.
Now I'm trying to follow what I'm saying as I'm talking about ethical cannibalism. Okay,
Uh-huh.
so you have
This is
someone
what I was ready for.
so you have someone who like say they it's like an organ donor list, except they're like, I want to be a clone donor list, a cloner list, and then they die, their body's harvested, but because that person consented, they clone that person, harvest them, and basically this creature spends its entire rest of eternity being food.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
but does the clone have any memory of giving that consent? Is this
exactly.
it's
It's
what's the it's Theseus's ship, man. Like
it's one, yeah.
it,
Well,
if you make a clone of a person who said, "Yeah, I'm down to give my body to ghouls," but then does the clone have memory of doing that, or does the clone just exist to be meat?
now in the hypothetical here, by signing the form, uh, there's an unspoken agreement that we're just never going to think about it past that because of the social quandary that will
So your ethical workaround is in it of itself unethical.
Free to remain free.
All right, cool. I just want to make
There's
sure.
meat. I mean, you're spinning it that way.
Well,
but-
here, this next
I'm
part.
spinning it that way. I'm presenting what would be the most logical question to be brought up against what you said. I'm not spinning it anyway. I'm presenting another the next logical step of what you've put out. At what point is a clone a person? Is the real question.
Now we're getting into a very ethical discussion. Like that's basically getting to the whole when does life begin? And everybody has their own kind of take on this. But, to make your ethical dilemma even more complicated, here's the next part. You think Project Garden, just from that with the cloning, is bad. Well, there's a subset to Project Garden called Seed Operation. Seed Operation is where they breed new donors in comatose hosts, usually sliced up so they only have what they need to carry the new life to term. Rows and rows of chairs with maimed, pregnant women. It's cheaper than artificial wombs, and the pregnancy produces biochemical elements that have uses as well once they're harvested. There's your next level of ethical dilemma.
So I see that Hideo Kojima is a fan of Shadowrun.
Indeed. That's the part that threw me for a loop. Like, all right, I can kind of see the cloning and keeping them in perpetual comatose state to harvest your organs and meat, what you need for your food source for your population. But using unconscious hosts to gestate new life to repeat the entire cycle because it's cheaper than cloning or artificial wombs while you're still slicing them up.
Hey man, ghouls gotta eat.
This is the part where I really have to question them. Like, are they still monsters with what you're doing? You do have to keep your population under control.
Until somebody manages to resolve the request in Dunkelzon's will to come up with a sweet meat substitute.
With the synthetic meat.
I think that's kind of like, guys gotta eat, man.
Guys gotta eat.
Hey, yeah. And at least they're using every part of the buffalo. So
they really, really are.
So at least there's that as well. There's no ethical waste attached to this.
Nothing goes to waste at all.
I feel like if you go here though, like I feel like the standards of an Impossible Burger are different in the Ghoul Nation than they are in the rest of the world.
It's kind of weird that you mentioned that. There's a short story that was written where a journalist gets special compensation to be able to enter the nation of Asamando under escort by a vampire.
Mm-hmm.
And she's supposed to be doing interviews with some of the political royalty, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so she's waiting to do that, and one of the things that they do is they go to a nightclub.
Mm-hmm.
And the reporter mentions that being in the nightclub really makes them feel like what the lobster in the tank must experience.
That's pretty solid.
Like all eyes are on you, and yeah. One of the things that is said in Asamando is if you do go around and you are not an infected, you better be going around with an escort that is,
I
or
mean,
else
that
you
checks
might
out. Yeah.
disappear.
Yeah. If you're going to the Ghoul Nation, you gotta know what to expect, I guess.
Definitely.
It's like walking into a tiger's pen, walking into a tiger's pen and then being surprised that you've been mauled. Like,
You are the meat.
yeah, right?
Oh man.
Is the Queen of Asamando, is she also a ghoul?
Yes,
Okay.
she's a vampire.
Oh, she's a vampire. Okay.
Yeah, she's very old.
Well, they often tend to be.
They do often tend to be. In 2061, there are rich deposits of auric alchem that are found within the nation of Asamando.
Oh, I'm sure that made it popular.
Saderkrupp is pretty close by, so you know good old Loftware and him wanting his magic stuff. And they're already popular for the diamond business and gems and other natural resources that they have. So this
Mhm.
just goes on to add more wealth to the nation.
Mhm.
In January of 2068, the Asamando soccer team was gunned down while attempting to participate in the African Cup of Nations.
Oh.
The Queen refused to prosecute the perpetrators, but somehow they all wound up dead anyway. Currently, infected are still banned from playing in organized sports in Africa, despite the fact that second and third generation infected aren't contagious.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Still interesting how that it just kind of disappeared. Hmm.
I'm sure nothing bad happened.
Oh, of course not. No, no, no.
No.
So, one of the reasons that we mentioned earlier, where the UN does not recognize Asamandio as a nation,
Mm-hmm.
is they sent inspectors to the country unannounced as a
And how many
surprise
came back?
inspection. Well, hmm. Uh, this happens in, I believe, 2075. Asamando had a chance to finally achieve its long held ambition of recognition by the United Nations. The UN had been dispatching investigators into the country to see if the primarily infected population had made any significant advances in their humanitarian efforts. Unfortunately, the inspectors had been collecting data comparing the import population of extra national prisoners and the enormous sizes of Asamandio's prisons, locally known as storehouses.
It's a solid name.
An
I like to
inspection.
imagine I like to imagine that in the prisons, like instead of having like the normal like caution like signs that you would see in a prison, it's
Uh-huh.
all like signs that they've taken from like butcher factory, like like meat processing plants and
Oh,
stuff.
yeah, probably. An inspection team decided to make an unannounced inspection. And unfortunately, what they found had lasting repercussions.
Hmm.
Now, at this time, Asamandio is known for buying the dead from other countries.
Yeah, that makes sense. I would imagine that that's probably a major export or a major import for them.
Right.
But also, I mean, doesn't wouldn't that like just be like a benefit?
What?
Because
Buying the
it
dead?
to be able to just export dead bodies out of your country,
Yeah.
because then you don't have to worry as much about like
Mm-hmm.
infrastructure spacing for cemeteries and stuff like that.
They were also buying slaves.
Well, that's not great. That's never good.
Yeah. When the pieces finally fall into place, the inspectors discovered the enormous and, more importantly, living population of the massive prison complexes. Yeah, the prison complexes really were storehouses in the sense they were also like breeding centers.
Yeah, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably not great. That's not a great look.
No.
No.
Inspired by the presence of the inspectors, the prisoners rioted.
Well, you know, that's
Who knew?
that's the time to do it, I would say.
And the prison wardens decided to retaliate to quell this attempted rebellion. And they did it in a way that nobody was expecting.
Mm.
The prison wardens, who are all, you know, the sentient infected,
Mm-hmm.
they decided to release the thousands of feral ghouls that had been kept isolated in other branches of the storehouses.
Oh my god. I mean, I guess if you want to quell a rebellion, if you want to quell an uprising,
Yeah. The prisoners
that's one way to do it.
the prisoners were contained. Unfortunately, the inspectors were slaughtered in the release of all the ferals. The UN inspectors are slaughtered.
Jesus.
And the cover-up failed miserably.
I mean, haven't we established at this point that the UN's kind of like pretty much worthless in the sixth world anyway? Like, doesn't the UN
A little
really
bit,
not
but
really?
they can still grant nation status.
Okay, so they're still necessary.
A little bit. I mean, the corporate court still kind of runs everything,
Yeah,
but
and
the UN is still there.
unless they wanted to somehow try to create themselves into being a corporate entity, like, you know, being a recognized country is probably pretty important.
Well, yeah, because then
Yeah,
you get everything that comes with that, you know.
yeah.
The fallout of this horrible debacle proves even worse.
Misunderstanding. Let's call it what it
Misunderstanding.
was.
Okay.
Misunderstanding.
This misunderstanding ends up being
Unfortunate misunderstanding.
it ends up being even worse for Asamandio, as the stress proves too much for their founding queen, and she dies of a massive heart attack.
The vampire?
Yeah.
Oh no, I didn't know vampires could die of a heart attack.
Who
I
knew,
gotta be
right?
honest.
Who knew?
Yeah, that's the most shocking development this entire episode so far, is the fact that a vampire could just die from a heart attack.
So she dies from a massive heart attack.
I mean, I guess I don't think I've ever seen like an overweight like an obese vampire, so I guess it's
never come up, right?
it's never come up. Yeah.
So this leaves her daughter, the queen's daughter, to ascend the throne, Rani.
Uh-huh.
Rani ascends the throne, and in order to do this, one of the things that she does is she consumes her mother's heart to symbolically gain her strength.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's how that works.
Yeah. I've seen some shows.
Yeah, are they? I was gonna say, are they taking a page out of As Technology's book here, or like
right?
blood for the blood god and all
Blood
that
for
fun
the
stuff?
yeah, kind of.
Yeah, okay.
So she now
I also like how it's not like part of that, like it wasn't a necessity. She just decided to do it. Like she's
yeah.
she's like, you know what? I am gonna eat the heart.
What better
got,
way to show that I'm in charge than
take it off the warming tray. I'm gonna dig into that bad boy.
So she is now the reigning queen, Queen Rani, and that's in 2075.
Oh, okay.
So
we
currently
have
she is the reigning queen.
We haven't gotten to the unfortunate misunderstanding in our timeline yet for Sinless.
No.
Okay.
It happens in 2075. So
gotcha.
It's got quite some time. So yeah, the problem that Asamandio is facing as time goes on is they have the growing population of the HMHVV infected,
Mm-hmm.
but their food supplies are not keeping up.
I mean, it sounds like they need a couple more gardens.
Right. Well, even with that, like it's just not keeping up with the demand. And unfortunately, this is driving some of the infected to feed on their own, to cannibalize other infected. And
Huh.
nobody knows what the long-term ramifications of that could be.
I mean, probably nothing positive.
No, and it's getting harder and harder as time goes on for the infected to resist that urge, that thirst that drives them. And with a diminishing food supply, it's only going to get worse.
Yeah, that's not super great.
Exactly. And then where do you go?
I mean, is that where extraterritoriality comes in and you know,
I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen.
eat and spread? Yeah, is that the
Yeah, the population of Asamando has doubled in just 6 years,
Oh.
as infected of all strains and types flock to the young nation to stake their claim and find some measure of safety in the wake of popular opinion turning against them. Yeah. I mean, you have the Ghoul Liberation League trying to be that public facing to get positive relations out to the rest of the world and everything. But unfortunately, you have those dark stains of the UN inspection massacre
Hmm.
that don't bode well for the country. And then, you have the connection to a terrorist organization. They're not necessarily in the fledgling nation, but people connect it to them just because that particular terrorist organization is full of infected. The fear the dark.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Were they called Fear the Dark, or they just called was it just called the Dark?
Nope, it's fear the dark.
Fear the Dark. Okay.
Yep. FTD.
FTD.
So you got that terrorist organization, then you have Temenos, which is considered a criminal organization in some parts of the world, and then a medical phenomenon in others.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have to think, despite their garden protocol and their body banks that they build, they still make impressive progress in the realm of like gene therapy and probably BioWare.
Mm.
Just some things to think about for the ghouls. Does that kind of change your mind at all about ghouls and the way that they operate?
No, not really. I mean, it's kind of like it's the situation of like the ghouls are having to figure out how to do what they gotta do because nobody else seems to care enough. And it's like, is there some terrible ramifications to that? Yeah, yeah. But if one of the megacorps decided to invest like any amount of resources into making synthetic meat that's applicable for ghouls, I bet you that they could bust that shit out in a weekend.
Well, I know that particular ghoul organization, the Temenos, are working on it to
Mm-hmm.
try to make synthetic meat.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been noted that every time they make any kind of forward progress,
Mm-hmm.
it just unlocks two or three new questions of, well, now how does this work and how does this work?
Gotcha.
So it's one step forward,
So
two step backs every time they make a breakthrough.
yeah.
That's
But see,
why it's
if a
still a thing.
megacorp, if they had megacorp resources,
Well, I don't know that who's to
ah,
say that they don't already from Saderkrupp, who happens to have vested interest in the country,
that's fair.
because that's who helped build some of their infrastructure, and both Seder Krupp and Horizon help maintain the infrastructure and the wireless matrix service. So who's to say they don't have corporate backing to be able to try to figure that out?
That is fair. That's very fair.
Yeah.
But, you know, I still support Ghouls. So, you know, you gotta do what you gotta
do. That's fair. That's fair.
Tyler, any opinion on Ghouls?
The parallels with certain people or groups of people in the real world is pretty evident. Almost bordering on heavy-handed, but
yeah.
That being said, I like that they don't paint ghouls in strictly a they're the victims or they're the monsters kind of mentality.
Right.
Really interesting from a narrative, like philosophical standpoint, which I love seeing in fiction.
On their food supply, I almost forgot. I thought this was interesting as well. You know how originally it was publicly known that they were importing corpses from all the various nearby wars that are going on in that area. And part of it was to actually help and prevent Shedem infestations.
Oh, solid.
That is one of the reasons why some of these various areas nearby are selling their dead, so that they don't have to mess with Shedem infestations. I mean, that's smart.
Yeah.
Especially since, you're so close. They are pretty close to the Middle East, where they have that Shedem problem right now.
It's only a problem if they know about it.
That's true. Oh, so that UN being aware of buying the dead but unaware of the reason they had live people is the secret agreement with corporations in which they were sending their condemned prisoners.
Ooh.
So the corporations were sending condemned prisoners to the Ghoul Nation to have their sentences carried out.
I mean, again, that just sounds like a means to an end to me. If they're going to kill the people anyway, might as well feed like a family of 4 while you're at it, you know? I don't see it.
What is this here? Your Asamando Happy Meal. Oh, man.
I want to see like a I want to see like an organic grocery store commercial, but for Asamandia. All of our product is imported, only of the finest quality.
Do you think they promote Whole Foods?
I mean, I think it is probably still Whole Foods, but the whole is a different context into the situation.
And they do, to confirm, the Ghoul Nation does recognize free spirits and shapeshifters as sentient creatures with full rights.
Oh, interesting.
So they do mirror Atslan in that regard for free spirits. So if you were to try to banish a spirit in Asamandio, you would be committing murder.
Ooh, huh. Tyler, I have a question for you. Tyler.
Yes.
What's a ghoul's favorite party favor?
What?
Finger foods. Uh-huh.
That's it.
Okay.
Nope. Sorry. Nope. gotta score you low on that one.
That's fair. I wasn't reaching too high for that one. That one was for me.
Okay,
for me, really.
That's fair enough. Fair enough. Well, do you guys have anything else that you would like to add to Ghouls or the Ghoul Nation?
Eat your friends, prevent the plague.
Yeah, exactly.
Your part.
Do your part.
Do your part. Prevent the Shedem plague.
Eat your neighbors.
Eat your neighbors.
They're going soon anyway, you know?
Oh, jeez.
Well, what are your feelings on the ghouls? Easy. I don't know if we've ever touched on that.
I have mixed feelings on them.
Uh-huh.
Like I get that it's it's a terrible plight that some of these people have been forced into, and it's been
Uh-huh.
forced upon them. They didn't choose the to live like this. And then they're persecuted and demonized for it, all because they now have this almost uncontrollable driving hunger behind them, that forces them to do something that they don't want to. Like,
Mm.
you're forced to eat meta human flesh to stay alive. I mean, some of them can't cope.
Mm.
So I do feel sorry for some of the ghouls, but I 100% believe that there are others out there that exploit it, you know?
Well, wherever there are people, underprivileged, there are always people to exploit it.
That is true. In one such area, now you've made me think of this, in the, of course it would be, in the starlit area of good old Hollywood in California Free State, there are some infected that are glamorized and sought out to be these dark figures of the night, like the traditional attractive vampire stereotype. You know, these individuals, as long as they have the look,
Mm-hmm.
can make a very lucrative life for themselves playing that specific part in, Sim Sense movies and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, that gets the whole groupie following in the area, and some of these even cults that might rise up to almost worship the figure.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't condone that. I think that's just exploiting yourself,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Mm-hmm.
But it makes them money, and they have enough sycophants that follow them around that they can keep themselves fed.
Literally.
Yeah. So I don't know. I've never been a big vampire person myself anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I am firmly in the werewolf camp.
Hell yeah.
That's right. Shape shifting under the moon.
Werewolves just aren't sexy, man. I don't know what to tell you.
It's the hair. That's what it is.
It's
It's all the hair. They can't get over the hair.
Cowards.
Vampires are just pale and porcelain. Ooh.
Ooh, wow.
yeah. I
Look at
mean, we
look at
listen,
me. I
listen,
have
we
cheekbones.
listen, we've got Brad Pitt. You've got what, like Taylor Lautner? Come on.
Hey, we also have Hugh Jackman,
We do have Hugh Jackman.
When was he a werewolf?
Van Helsing.
Is he a werewolf in that?
Yes, sir.
Spoilers?
Oh man, I need to
Guess.
rewatch Van Helsing.
What?
Dude, I may or may not have been doing werewolf related research for something unrelated. But yeah, I was like, what are some of the coolest oh, I forgot he turns into a werewolf in that movie.
He does. He does.
Boy howdy. We didn't know how good we had it.
Mm-hmm. Man, that movie is objectively bad though.
But it's so good.
It's such
so
a bad good
but
movie.
it's so good. I don't have a lot of those nowadays, man.
Okay. Vampire-esque related question. Who's been your favorite portrayal of Van Helsing in the Vampire World movies?
I feel like I've only seen the one personally, unless we think of like reinterpretations in media.
I gotta go with Sir Anthony Hopkins in Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Okay,
like okay.
that's a solid one, and I'll
Uh-huh.
give you that.
Okay.
I gotta cast my lot in for Peter Cushing, man. The Hammer films. Yeah. Because not
yeah.
only do you get Peter Cushing Van Helsing, but you
Mhm.
get Christopher Lee Dracula. So,
Oh, that's true. That is
you
true.
know,
Although I will say,
uh-huh.
Christopher
Uh-huh.
Lee Dracula
Uh-huh.
is a great Dracula.
He's up there, man. He's pretty top tier.
But Gary Oldman, man,
Gary Oldman's he's just aces
he's
across the board,
he is
man.
something else. Okay, he
Yeah.
is a chameleon that plays anything.
He's a force is what he is.
So yes, for him to play old Dracula in
Hmm.
Bram Stoker and then younger Dracula as well.
Hmm.
Just oh, clap, 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 clap. So good. I will also have to have honorable mention for Vampire. I actually thought that in Interview with the Vampire, uh,
Hmm.
Tom Tom Cruise's
Lestat. It's the
Lestat,
best part of the movie. Come on now.
he actually does really really well.
Yeah. Listen, you watch Interview with the Vampire for Lestat, you stay for the rest of the movie. But like, yeah, 1000%. He's the best
I
part of that
I
movie.
was super disappointed in the Queen of the Dam movie.
Mm.
Yeah, it's not great.
Yeah,
It's not
because
great
I mean it's
for
still in
a
that same,
variety of reasons.
yes, for a variety of reasons. It's still supposed to be in that same Interview with the Vampire universe because it's
Yeah,
supposed to be
Yep.
Lestat again.
it's the third
Yeah, in the
of the
series.
trilogy, right? Yeah.
Yes, yes. I would love to have seen that remade and bring Tom Cruise back for the Lestat.
Yo.
Honestly, I would love if we could have gotten Tom Cruise in an actual movie for the vampire Lestat, which is
Yes.
just all about him. Like
Mm-hmm.
that, I would be
I'd be down for
that
that
would be
too.
my wanted. Also, I mean, Tom Cruise, dude doesn't age. You know, he's clear. That man's clear. He's got no thetans weighing down his face. So
That's what I was gonna say. He's you know.
yeah. So I think he could still pull off Lestat if
If he wanted to.
if the star's alive.
The stars aligned. But that's something for our viewers as well. Let us know your favorite vampire and or werewolf movies.
What was Tyler's favorite vampire? Did we get it? Did
My
we?
favorite vampire?
Yeah,
Yeah.
your favorite vampire.
Um,
I think me and Easy are both firmly in the Lestat camp. Follow well, or the
Yeah,
Gary Oldman,
Gary
Bram
Oldman,
Stoker's. Yeah.
Bram Stoker's is also really good. Yeah.
hmm, I can't say I have one off the top. I've not been much into Camp Vampire.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Hmm.
Okay.
Honorable mention as well for me.
Mm-hmm.
Kate Beckinsale for the Underworld movies.
Well, that,
I love
Oh
the
wait,
Underworld
okay,
movies.
all right, all right.
I love
wait,
the
I want
wait,
to
wait.
Underworld
change my
movies, man. They
answer.
feel
Hang on.
they
Tyler
fall
wishes to
perfectly.
I want to change my
change his
answer.
answer. Go
Uh-huh.
ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, I just Bill Nye in general as the
Okay.
leader of
Okay.
the Covenant. I've been saying the Covenant that way for over a decade because of
Uh,
that performance.
that's
That's
excellent.
that's very fair.
That is
That's
very
never a bad
fair.
choice. Bill Nye is never a bad choice for anything.
He is a great bad guy.
He's a great everything. I love that man in everything.
So we just did our vampire movies, so our werewolf movies.
Mm.
What's your go-to werewolf movie?
American Werewolf in London
Oh,
with a bullet. I love that
mm,
movie. I love that
yes,
movie. And
yes.
it still has to this day the best transformation sequence for a werewolf in any movie that has ever been made.
Oh, Tyler, your werewolf movie of choice.
Um, oh man, it's really hard to say. My scope is very limited, to be honest.
It's
Um,
okay. You can say Twilight, New Moon. None of us are gonna judge you. That's fine.
so
I absolutely will because those are not werewolves. Those are shapeshifters.
No, it's
There's a
okay.
difference.
Okay,
There's a
fair.
difference.
Okay, fair.
I will split those hairs and I will die on this hill.
That's fair.
Ah. Oh man.
What's What's your werewolf, Easy?
I agree with you. The
Oh, American Werewolf.
werewolf, yeah, American Werewolf.
It's just so good, man.
It is
It's
very
so
good.
good.
Tyler, we're just gonna have to have a watch party at some point and go through some of these fantastic classics.
Hell yeah.
You know, I was just now remembering. Did you watch that terrible Dracula Untold movie?
Oh, the
I
like
did.
origin one that they did?
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
I have not,
I was
no.
pretty excited for it. Not gonna
I
lie.
I was pretty excited for it. I was kind of after I saw it.
It's super okay.
Yeah. But that being said, I will say that the guy who plays the vampire that he meets that turns him in the cave, who also happens to play
Uh-huh.
Tywin Lannister.
I was gonna say,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just looked up the cast of this movie. I'm gonna assume that you're talking about Charles Dance, which
Yes,
hell yes,
I
sir.
would love to have a full on vampire movie just centered around him and
Oh,
just go. I think that would be super cool.
dude, give me like a What We Do in the Shadows style movie
Oh my god,
that's Charles Dance, Bill Nighy, and Gary Oldman as old vampires.
that
This
sounds
is this
awesome.
this is what I want now. This is what I want.
Oh, where do we get to this pitch meeting?
Yeah, what's Taika up to right now? Is he doing Thor 5? Like
I
what's the word?
guys, let us know what you think. Let us know what your favorite werewolf and vampire movies are, and let us know what you think about the nation of Asamandio. And are the ghouls up to no good, or are they just trying to survive in a world that kind of persecutes them? These are
Thriving and
important
surviving.
questions.
Thriving and surviving.
That is right.
Now, if they wanted to get that information to us easy, what would be the best way for them to do so?
Hey, you know what? I'm glad you asked because I have that answer. The best way to get us this information is going to be for you to go ahead and come on over to join our Patreon. Head on over to patreon.com/critical_hits. And for just 5 new yen a month, you will be able to submit your questions to us where we will answer them in a segment that we have dubbed Worm Talk that is going to be exclusively for our patrons. So we'll get to answer all of your Shadowrun questions, everything that you want to know about the Sixth World that we haven't talked about yet or have talked about and you want to know more. That's where you'll be able to get to us. Otherwise, if you haven't joined our Discord, come on over, join the Discord. You'll be able to interact with us. We've got our Shadowrunnin on Empty board. We've got our Sinless board. You can talk to the cast of the Sinless show as well. Talk to your favorite character. Ask them how they're doing. All this great stuff. Also, if you become a patron, you'll also be shouted out at the end of each of our Sinless episodes. And Sinless Season 2, you guys, it's coming. It's on the way. These are just a few of the great perks that you will get by being one of our patrons. Well, guys, do you have anything else that you would like to add?
Ghouls did nothing wrong.
Body banks and live populations breeding in prisons. Doing nothing wrong.
Yeah.
Absolutely, totally 100% fine.
Listen, it's hard out here, right? You gotta do what you gotta do.
It's hard out in them ghoul streets.
In this economy, shit, you can't afford not to.
Oh my gosh. Well, as always, I want to thank you guys for hanging out with us this long. I hope you've enjoyed the information that we have provided you this evening about ghouls and their nation that they're trying to build for themselves. As always, I want to thank you for hanging out with us this long. And of course, we will see you guys on the next one.
The Topps Company Inc. has sole ownership of the names, logo, artwork, marks, photographs, sound, audio, video, and or any proprietary materials used in connection with the game Shadowrun. The Topps Company Inc. has granted permission to Critical Hits to use such names, logos, artwork, photographs, sound, audio, video, and or any proprietary materials for promotional and informational purposes on its website, but does not endorse and is not affiliated with Critical Hits in any official capacity whatsoever.